Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddie and this is my June wrap up. I have read 9 books this month and it was a pretty average month. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have any 5 stars. I did have some good books, but nothing that like blew my mind. So let's just get right into it. As usual, I'm gonna start with the lowest rated book that I read this month all the way to the highest and we will go from there. So we're going to start out with the 3-star books that I read this month. I had quite a few 3-star books. At least I didn't have anything under a 3, but we'll get into it, okay? Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is her newest release. It came out in June and I was so excited for this book. I love Ali Hazelwood. We all know that. Like, if you guys watch my videos, you know I read a lot of her books and I'm a big fan of her writing. This one was a completely different vibe and energy and way more smutty than her usual, and her usual is pretty smutty. It's a contemporary adult romance novel based off Eli and Rue. In simplest terms, Eli's company is taking over Rue's company, but the day before that they meet in person at work, they actually were supposed to hook up on a dating app. So they matched on a dating app, they met to hook up, something happened, they didn't end up hooking up, and they met the next day at work and it kind of blew up from there. Rue has commitment issues big time. She's never ever felt anything more than sexual chemistry with a man, and Eli is head over heels. The biggest simp you'll ever read about. I loved Eli. I loved this book and the chemistry between the two, but for me, I wanted less smut. That's a first, but I wanted less smut. It didn't really hook me from the beginning like her books usually do. I was a little bored with the plot and what was going on, the situation between the two companies. I wasn't interested in that. It was a fun book. It kept my attention, and that's about all I want from a book. So I'm glad that I read this one, and I'm still a big fan of Ali Hazelwood. The next 3-star book that I read was The Long Game by Elena Armaz, and I listened to this book because it became available on Libby, and I'm actually reading The Fiancé Dilemma, which comes out in July, so I wanted to read the first book in this series. It is an adult sports romance novel between Adeline and Cameron. I have been so picky with audiobooks this year. So picky. I think this might be like the 3rd or 4th audiobook that I've done. Like, I have not done a lot of audios this year. Some narrators are really whiny and I've been really picky with the narrators. So these 2 narrators that did this book did it perfectly. I didn't think they exaggerated anything weird. I thought they spoke beautifully, and I totally recommend this audiobook. Adeline works for her dad's professional soccer team. Her dad's like the manager. Don't ask me about terms. I don't know what he does exactly. She just works for him. Due to some social media fiasco, Adeline's dad fires her in a way. Not really fires her. Something happens. She gets sent off to this really small town to kind of help her status a little bit, and Cameron happens to be there. Cameron is a professional soccer player in this small town who is running the local soccer team there, and I adored Adeline's character development in this book. She starts out at the beginning pretty ice queeny, and then towards the end she really comes into herself and kind of flips a switch in a way. And there were some pretty cringy parts, and I think that's just the writing style, or maybe it was the audiobook. I don't know. Audiobooks have been ruining it for me, so who knows, but 3 stars. The next 3-star book was Truly Devious, and I buddy read this book with a friend on Bookstagram. It was so fun. It was fun. It's a young adult suspenseful mystery thriller with a little bit of true crime in there. It was very similar to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder in my opinion. Like, Stevie in this book was very similar to Pip, and I like Pip better. I thought Stevie was a little bit stuck up, and there were just elements to the other characters that I really did not enjoy. But the setting and the atmosphere of this book, it's set in like this really old castle-like school in the mountains and very secluded, and I adored the setting. The old libraries and hallways and dorm rooms, like, I thought that was really neat. It's a school that only takes like really talented kids, so that was a really cool aspect of the book, but it really started to pick up around the 50% mark. There is a twist at the end, and it did end on a cliffhanger, and I was like, okay, now I kind of really want to read the second book. 3 stars. Still a lot of fun. Stevie is too smart for me. I couldn't really understand most of what she was saying, but she is a true crime expert and she was fun to tag along with. I just finished this morning, actually, and I love this series. Millie, our main character, has been with us for the past 3 books in this series. I love her. She overthinks everything, and her paranoia makes me really paranoid. So going through Frida McFadden's books, you're constantly thinking about the other characters and like what they're gonna do to betray Millie. So it's very stressful. It's a very suspenseful book. This book takes place 11 years after the last book, and now Millie has 2 kids, she's happily married, and they're moving to a new house, and they have some wonky neighbors. It was fun. I'm a terribly gullible person. Most people, even like when I described it to Brock, I was like, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? And he guessed it, and he hasn't even read the book. And I was reading the book and I did not guess it. I think I'm the kind of person where if it's on the page, I'm gonna believe it if it's on the page. So if Millie is paranoid, I'm paranoid. If there's something going on that Millie thinks, I'm thinking the same thing Millie is. I don't assume or anything or guess outside of what Millie's thinking. And that goes for all mystery thriller books. I'm pretty dang gullible. So I did not catch the twist at all. Apparently other people did. Anyway, now let's get into the 3.5 star category. And this one's controversial. I read Magnolia Parks. I have not had the best luck with Jessa Hastings, let's say that, okay? But this book, as toxic as it is so entertaining. You guys, it's so entertaining. It is Gossip Girl set in London. Like, that's exactly a wonderful way to describe it, and I loved Gossip Girl growing up. I think because, and I've said this before in videos, because I'm in a healthy, stable, very good at communication relationship with my husband, it's fun to throw stuff like this into my reading schedule because it's so toxic. Brings some spice into my life. This is a new adult contemporary romance between BJ and Magnolia. BJ and Magnolia grew up together. They are filthy rich, so spoiled, and have the most toxic relationship you'll ever read about. But they love each other. If that can be love. It is really tough to imagine, I think, coming from a healthy relationship. It's tough to imagine that something like this could be real. It's really sad, and they are so twisted up in each other that no matter what they do to betray each other, they always come back, and I think that is so unhealthy, and I feel so bad, but it's so entertaining. I am gonna read the next book. I already have Daisy Hates on my TBR card, so. And the quotes are really pretty. Jessa Hastings has a beautiful writing, and it's an interesting writing style with all these characters because it's stream of consciousness. It's just you're getting random sentence structure, you're getting random thoughts and feelings thrown into the dialogue, and I really enjoy that aspect of her writing. So even though that Jessa Hastings, I didn't like the book Never a few months ago, this one wasn't too bad. I understand why people hate it, because I kind of hated it, but I also kind of loved it. So I really don't know what my opinion is on this one, and 3.5 seemed pretty reasonable. Getting to the 4-star category, I had 3 4-star books. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This book surprised me so much. It's been sitting on my TBR cart for months, and I'm sad that I didn't pick it up months ago. This book has magical realism, romance, time travel, food. Food is such a big part of this book, and I adored that aspect. And the most beautiful quotes you will ever read. Clementine and E1 met under unusual circumstances. I don't want to spoil anything. I went into this book blind, and that's how I think you should too. They run into each other 7 years later, also under odd circumstances. It was so sweet to read about Clementine's relationship with her aunt. This aunt in this book reminded me so much of my grandmother, and it just made me miss my grandma, and I think that there are just some beautiful things that I swear my grandma has said before, and I adored this book. Leather and Lurk. I did a full book review on this one, so if you want to go watch that, you can. This is a fun but dark romance novel. Adult dark romance novel. And it followed up Butcher and Blackbird. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion. I liked this one better than Butcher and Blackbird. And I think it's because Butcher and Blackbird had a lot of those time jumps, and I did not like the time jumps. I didn't think it was very realistic to keep a relationship going for like 4 years with seeing each other once a year. I didn't love that. Now this one, Lachlan and Lark met under pretty unforgiving circumstances, like what Lachlan did was very unforgivable in my opinion. But even though that they got off on the wrong foot, Lachlan is so good at groveling. If you guys like men who fuck up but then do everything in their power to make it right again, Lachlan knows how to do it. He was so sweet, even though that honestly what he did at the beginning was really, really shitty. It gets a lot better, and he gets a lot better. Another 4-star book that I had was Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is my 4th book that I'm reading from Lauren Asher. So I originally read her Dreamland Billionaires series. This is the Lakefront Billionaires. You can tell she has a type. She likes the rich men. This is a small town adult romance novel with a Luke and Lorelai kind of dynamic, which I thought was so cute. I'm rewatching Gilmore Girls right now, and Julian and Dahlia reminded me a lot of Luke and Lorelai. These two have been family friends basically for their whole life, with a healthy side of rivalry. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty typical. Girl leaves small town, goes to the big city, does the big city life, falls in love, they break up, she comes back to the small town boy is still there, but now he's rich. And while I did really enjoy their relationship, I thought this book was a little too lengthy. I thought it was a little too long. I was not invested in their relationship until about halfway through. And then once I sped through it. Overall, really liked it. It just took me a little bit to buy into their relationship. Now for the last book that I read this month, and the biggest surprise. I was not expecting to like this book as much as I did. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. I did read this book in the number generating vlog, so if you want to watch my reactions and review on it, you can. This is a second chance contemporary adult romance novel. Emma is a wedding planner, Elliot is a florist. Is his name Elliot? Why am I second guessing that? Yes, Elliot. Okay. Elliot Bloom. Oh my god, did I just realize that? That's so cheesy. Elliot and Emma had worked together in the past. They developed a relationship, pretty short relationship. Something happened, they broke up, and you're getting these flashback chapters kind of describing from Elliot's point of view what happened those years ago and why now they have to work together again. And they have a great bicker banter relationship as well. He's kind of just mean, if I'm being honest, but I like that black cat energy. I thought some of the things she was doing were a bit immature, and she could have really just communicated with him and things would have been completely different. Like, this whole book literally didn't even have to happen. They just had to communicate, and I didn't love that. But everything else in this, the nostalgia that I felt with wedding planning and the flowers and how things were described, it was so pretty. And I know that some people don't love this book, but I adored it. And this one definitely took me by surprise. Ooh, okay, that is it for this month. I think I did a really good job. They weren't the best books I've ever read, but around the board, 3.5, 4 stars. I think that's okay. And I'm so excited for July. If you guys don't know, I did start a book club on Patreon. I've been doing early access YouTube videos on there and been posting pretty much every single day for the past like week and a half, and it's been so fun. I'm starting a group chat on there this week just so I can talk to everyone in that little private group chat. Our book club pick is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. So if you've read Powerless and you want to read Reckless with a buddy or with a few friends, come on over to the Patreon and we will be there with you. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to support me. I will see you guys in the next video.